What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Bones, Season 12, Episode 11, A Day in the Life. So, it's kind of funny, because this episode is really good, but in all honesty, it kind of pisses me off, because the rest of the season has been so bad. I mean, honestly, the best example I can give is the reason I missed last night's episode is because I was at a game. I coach a high school varsity team, and this season hasn't been all that great. Well, we lost last night's game. And part of the reason why is because there's just a lack of effort on the field. Just watching them walk around, they're not really trying that hard. Well, the last 3 minutes, when we're down a goal and we're pushing hard to try to get one back to tie it up, they're trying so hard that we created like 5 chances in the last 2 minutes. And very good chances. One of them probably should have gone in. And so the frustrating part is watching that, seeing when they care, seeing when they try and put effort in, seeing how good they do, how well they play. That's frustrating because you don't do that the entire game. That's this episode for me. Like, it's really, really good, but if you put this type of effort in throughout the entire season, we could have so many good episodes. But you don't care until the last one. The rest of the episodes are just, oh, let's just wrap these stories up. Let's just bring back characters from past seasons and talk about them again. Let's not really put together a coherent, flowing story or narrative for this season. Let's just tell it piece by piece and just slowly wrap up this season, last season. Who really cares, right? Clearly, you showed that you do care a little bit because this episode's really good. The first episode with Zach was really good. So these two episodes that have been really, really good this season are really frustrating for me because I want this for an entire season, not just 2 episodes out of it. So, yeah, that's my frustration, but let's talk about this episode on its own because, I mean, let's be honest, it's a really good episode. They got it set up in that format that is always kind of interesting for me. I always like it whenever a show can do this and do it effectively as well. We start to see it from different people's point of views. And here's the thing, like, watching it, thinking about it, I'm wondering what could they possibly be doing. Because first of all, we see it from Hodgins' point. No. We saw it from whose point of view? Cam's point of view, that's right. We saw it from Cam's point of view, and so we see, they're at the wedding with her and Aristu, which I like the fact that they finally got married. But they are at the wedding. We're seeing everybody there. Everybody's a part of it. And then they go home. They wake up the next morning, and they both have like 8 missed voicemails. So they go into the Jeffersonian, and they've been called in under very special circumstances. The Hodges like everything's gone wrong. And so then we see it from Hodgins' point of view, and we see the Zach trial. We see what's going on there, and then we see from his point of view as far as the body is concerned. We find out that it's the guy that killed Brennan's father and tried to kill Booth. So we see that's going to be the story for these final 2 episodes. He's back and he's trying to kill them. So then we see it. We go to, wasn't it? It was Aubrey's point of view after that. So we see it from his point of view. We see them finding the body. We see them finding out more information. And then we see it from Angela's as we see more about, I guess, just, first of all, she's pregnant, which just kind of came out of nowhere, but that's kind of part of her story. And then on top of that, we find out more about, I guess, the case overall and, I can't remember if we found out about the explosives then or in the Brennan story, but Brennan's story comes after hers, and that's where we find out a lot more information about, I guess, the bones and what it means. And that she's having trouble figuring out what these bones mean overall. And then, of course, finally the Booth storyline, because he's the one that got the most, I guess, vague storyline. We hear about stuff he's doing, and at the end of Brennan's storyline, he comes in with the 2 tarot cards that he pulled, which were Temperance and Death. So, all in all, it's a very interesting setup for this episode, and I like the fact that at the beginning, when they started showing it, I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how these different stories were going to intertwine in the end and why they decided to do that. But as we start to get more into it, it starts to make so much sense why they decided to do it this way. We get piece by piece, the information is starting to get given, starting to be given to us. And so we start to see more and more just how the story's connecting. What does this mean? Something that meant something so little at the beginning. Cam and her bag when she gets a text from her daughter at the beginning of the episode. At first, it's just like, yeah, whatever. And all of a sudden, Booth has it. It's like, wait, why does Booth have it? We see in his story, apparently, Cam's daughter gave it to him because she's applying to be in the FBI. But then all of a sudden, we find out her card is missing out of her bag, and that's when Booth realizes Kovar must have taken the card and he's planted the explosives here at the Jeffersonian. And it obviously ends on a bit of a cliffhanger because we have to build up for the final episode. But I like whenever a story gives little piece by piece information. It makes it more fun. It makes it exciting to sort of start figuring out stuff little bit by little bit as you start to try to theorize about what's going to happen next. Where is this all leading to? Where's the bomb going to be? So I like the setup for it. The one thing that I will say didn't really fit is having what's her face? Avalon, Angela's psychic friend. I don't know, just she's always been kind of a humorous. I've never really found her that funny, but she always been there as kind of like a humorous plot device in some episodes. Like she'll come in, she says she has a vision of some sort of murder. Booth doesn't believe her, Brennan doesn't believe her, but she just keeps popping up. She keeps being right from time to time, even if it's like vaguely right. Like she says one thing, and it turns out, hey, well, if you look at it by this way, oh, that is kind of by a body of water because there happens to be a billboard with a body of water right there. That type of thing. This one was much more like serious. Like she shows up, she's very serious about it, even with her goofy accent. I can't take her seriously. Because of the goofy accent mainly, but just this whole, oh yeah, she's got a message for Booth. And she's like, I got a message for him. Just tell him I need to talk to him. And just like, I can't take you seriously right now. I get you're trying to be serious, but it's not working. And then he pulls out temperance and death, and it's just like, okay, seriously, like, I get that you want to try to show that sometimes psychics can be right, sometimes they get lucky. That's what they've shown with a lot of her episodes. This one's like very, very specific. Like, temperance, what are the chances he's going to pull that card out? Like, are all of the cards temperance and death, and so he just happened to pull both of them? Like, he pulled one and then pulled the other? Like, I don't know, it's so frustrating whenever a show can't nail down what they want to do with their characters. Avalon has always felt like just a plot device, and so to have her come out of nowhere and all of a sudden just be this actual warning, this foreshadowing future, like later on in the show, I don't know, it felt out of place in such an intense and interesting episode. So that would be the only complaint I have. The rest of it is pretty interesting. Some of the storylines that the side characters were given, like seeing Cam and Airstu together, that's fun. Aubrey is on his way out, and so he wants Jessica to move with him, but she's like, I don't want to, and breaks it off with him. So I'm wondering if we're going to find out more about what happened there, because it kind of came out of nowhere. Like he asked her to move, she doesn't answer, and then later on she's just like, I'm not moving with you, I don't see us going anywhere, and then that's it. She just cuts it off, so I wonder where that's going. And then of course Angela's pregnancy kind of came out of nowhere as well, but we see that obviously it's going to mean something as well. And then of course the main side story is the Zach Addy trial. Finally see him back. He's representing himself. It's been way too long, in my opinion. But we see, as he's representing himself, Julian is the prosecutor, and so she's constantly. It looks like she's just constantly just doing as much as she can to make sure Zach stays in the mental hospital. And so Hodgins is up there, and she's just tearing him apart, talking about, oh, weren't you put under some sort of suspicion for maybe forging this evidence? And so he's obviously really pissed. And so at the end of it all, like, they say that the judge finds him innocent, but he still helped the killer, so he has to finish his last 13 months at the mental hospital, which for him is like lifetime stay, 13 more months. I'll take the 13 more months. So he's fine with it, but then Julian comes up and Brennan's just like, thank you for your help. He's like, help? She was trying to put me back in there forever. And Brennan actually brings up a very good point that I didn't even notice, which whenever you can do something that I don't notice and one of your characters has to point out to me, that's actually well done. And the fact that they can do that, once again, pisses me off because the rest of the season was so obvious. But she points out the fact that she said 16 times that they had really reliable evidence. Like, she said that over and over and over again, and planting that in the judge's mind. And so, yeah, it actually did help them. So she was doing enough to keep her own job, but also trying to help Zach get out as well. So I really liked when they did that and how they handled it. But all in all, like I said, this was a really good episode. It ends on a bit of a cliffhanger because it looks like everybody's pretty much the main characters except for Cam are all trapped in there. Angela, Hodgins, Brennan, and Booth are all trapped in there when the bombs explode. On top of that, I don't know if Aristu and Cam were waiting by the door, but if they were, there's a chance that they may have gotten hit in the blast as well. On top of that, is this going to blow up the entire Jeffersonian, or was it specified to this room? Because maybe they're trapped in the rubble downstairs or something like that. So obviously the next part is probably going to be them trying to get out of the Jeffersonian alive, and then it's going to end up we got to catch Kovar. We got to make sure he doesn't hurt anybody else. So I don't know if anybody's actually going to be dead. It would be interesting and really intriguing if they decided to do that. Kill somebody off, especially in such a, I guess, cliffhangerish way. But I don't know. Just based on this show in the past, aside from a couple seasons like way back when it was still good, this show in the past couple seasons really hasn't been one to just take this type of, I guess, path. To take this type of chance. Sweets was kind of I don't know, it didn't even feel like it was really heartbreaking for people. It didn't feel like it affected the team all that much. We already had Aubrey step in, and so he was already kind of there. It's like, oh, so this is going to be the new FBI guy, right? Sweets is probably going to be gone, so he's stepping in, right? That's pretty much how it was handled. So this would be very interesting to see if they're going to actually kill somebody off, or if everybody's going to end up fine. So very interested to see what's going to happen, and it's actually got my attention, but like I said, too little too late for me. This season has already been a complete bust. These last two episodes, even if they're really, really good, which this one was, probably the next one will be too, it doesn't make up for the fact that this season was completely awful. Just absolutely terrible writing, obvious, boring. All of it was just no fun to watch at all. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this episode? Let me know. We can talk about it, discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for the last bone review, and I'll see you at the last one. Peace out.